Now to the desperate need for help with recovering from Hurricane Irma.
Governor Rick Scott meeting with the Florida congressional delegation in Washington, D.C. to see what federal resources can be made available to help the state recover. Representatives Vern Buchanan of the Suncoast and Elsie Hastings attended the meeting. It focused on Florida's citrus industry, which accounted for more than $760 million in agricultural losses. The U.S. House will consider a disaster aid bill later this week that would provide $36.5 billion in emergency funding for hurricane relief efforts.
And here on the Suncoast, many operating citrus groves and shops are hurting because of the storm. Farmers and fruit growers are now assessing the damage, which will likely be significant. ABC 7's Dwayne Lindo tells us about the impact to our local crops.
All right, total is 16.
Here at Fruitville Grove in Sarasota, pumpkins are now the flavor of the month. But they're still dealing with the damage Hurricane Irma has inflicted on Florida's citrus industry.
In different areas, anywhere from mildly affected to very severely affected.
Owner Kim White says her crops were severely affected.
With all of that wind, it literally shakes the green fruit right off the trees.
And it shows. 16 acres of citrus trees are completely bare. White says the damage it's done is unprecedented.
It's to the point of being devastating for some.
And says it won't be only business owners feeling the repercussions of the storm.
We will struggle this year. It will be very, very difficult. You can expect probably higher prices.
And not only were orange groves affected, but beehives were affected as well. Honeybees are used to pollinate many of Florida's state crops.
They pollinate everything they're near. So without that, the whole world would collapse.
Sarasota company My Sweetest Honey owner Sean Knepp handles bees and bottles honey. He says although floodwaters destroyed many beehives around the state, there's still a light at the end of the tunnel.
Fortunately, the bee population, I feel, is doing quite fine. They proliferate like rabbits, so while we may quite often have severe losses, we can quadruple our numbers every year if we would like.
But as for crops, it may take a bit longer.
But it might take, as many as 2 to 3 years to kind of get everything back up to the original quantities that we had pre-Hurricane Irma, because it really is that affecting.
Kim White also points out that we're likely to see even greater economic losses as they account for the loss of future production and that the huge cost to rebuild infrastructure.